Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Brad Bond in for Phil Gallagher. To the news. Authorities are investigating a situation at a Burlington daycare after a parent alleged an employee assaulted her son. Middlesex District Attorney Marian Ryan's office said on Wednesday that they received a report of an allegation of a potential assault and battery of a child by an adult that occurred at KinderCare in Burlington on Monday, August 6th. The DA's office said that they are investigating the incident with the Burlington police. NBC Boston reported that the mother told them that her 4-year-old son was grabbed by his arm and thrown onto a cot during nap time. NBC also said the mother, who also has a 1-year-old daughter at the same daycare, had witnessed the same teacher being aggressive to her son 2 weeks prior to this alleged incident. Multiple outlets are reporting that a representative from KinderCare said that the teacher in question was placed on administrative leave after the allegation was made and will remain so until further notice. Wednesday night's Ways and Means meeting had only one issue on the agenda, the reported fiscal year 18 budget deficit incurred by the school department. As reported by BNews, Superintendent Eric Conti informed the school committee last month that there were more expenses in FY18 than had been allocated for in the annual budget. He originally estimated the deficit to be roughly $1.7 million, but during Wednesday's meeting said now, after accounting for some duplicate purchase orders, he estimates the amount to be closer to $880,000. Dr. Conti said these expenses include employee stipends, funds to cover a higher than average amount of substitute teachers, and maintenance costs. During the Ways and Means meeting, there was some discussion about what the next steps might be. Town accountant Paul Sagarino, who will be taking over as town administrator in 2019, said the first thing that must be determined is the vote threshold needed for a town meeting vote. To appropriate funds to cover expenses for a previous closed-out fiscal year, the state requires a 4/5 vote during an annual town meeting. However, if it is a special town meeting, the vote required is actually 9/10. Burlington has 3 town meetings per year, and town council is working to determine whether there can be more than one annual town meeting under Massachusetts law. If not, any vote to correct the deficit will require a 9/10 vote. The big discussion of the evening was as to the source of the funding to cover the deficit. Paul Sagarino laid out 3 different options. The first was to use money from the stabilization fund. He said this would satisfy the deficit and balance the FY18 budget while minimizing any impact on FY19 operations. The balance of the stabilization fund as of June 30th is approximately $8.8 million. The second option was to raise and appropriate the funds through the FY19 tax levy that will be set in November. Sagarino said this places an additional burden on the tax levy and thus the taxpayer. It is true, he added, that the stabilization fund is also comprised of tax money, but those funds are already collected and thus would not mean additional taxes in the current year. The third option would be to take the funds from the school department's FY19 budget. This option would negate the tax levy impact but would have an adverse effect on the school's current year operations. Sagarino said that if town meeting did not vote to authorize the payments of the outstanding FY18 bills, there would be potentially severe consequences and expenses for the town. He said it is likely the vendors who are due money would take the town to court, where they would win, and the state would then force the town to raise the funds through the tax levy. However, in this case, the town would also incur court fees, and a refusal to pay vendors could negatively impact its AAA bond rating. Members of Ways and Means expressed their displeasure with the situation and asked how they got to the situation and what can be done in the future.
Superintendent Conti, we started at 1.7 million, now we're down to 800,000. But my question is in the process. When do you write your warrants? Once a month? Do your check run once a month? And you reconcile against the check run once a month. So these were not annual expenses that just showed up on the scene at the last day of the fiscal year. They had to be accumulated during the course of the year. So why wasn't that check run reconciled against the budget line items so that a red flag would come up and you'd know that you had a deficit? I can't understand that from an accounting standpoint. Well, I hate to say the word, but it's on everybody's mind. We're all embarrassed. Yeah. You're embarrassed, school committee's embarrassed, subcommittee's embarrassed, and Ways and Means.
When are we going to actually see a breakdown? Because you're saying now that it was payroll, and I get what Phil said about embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed, I'm furious, because we've asked every single month to have budget versus actuals. Nicole has been busting her back trying to get the music department and all these other issues finalized. Do we need to have more accounting staff? Do we need to put some auditors in there? What is it that we need to do to make sure that in 3 months from now, we're not going to look at another huge fiasco?
Dr. Conti said his department is already working to fix the accounting process problems and get things in order moving ahead.
I think we've operated on a year-end basis for decades, and I think it's we're changing and putting the processes in place that will allow the real-time pluses and minuses to be kept track of, and for us to do better year-end projecting.
Finally, Ways and Means member Sonia Rollins said she didn't think taking the funds from this year's budget was prudent, and emphasized that the town will should and will pay its bills.
I don't really think affecting our FY19 budget is going to be prudent. What I believe in my heart of hearts is if we can get this funding, because folks, Burlington's not a community that's not going to pay what we've rightly spent. This is not about something, we're not going to court to discuss. We're certainly not going to take on legal fees walking in knowing that we owe this money. And as just a matter of fact, if a lot of it is in fact payroll, we know what the rules are. Department of Revenue requires you to pay that. So.
Well, on to other news. The Burlington Police Department and other agencies from around the area came together at the Burlington High School for an Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training, or ALERT, program to prepare for life-threatening situations that could occur at any time. BNews reporter John Villas went to check it out and has this report.
During the week of Monday, August 6th, the Burlington Police Department and other agencies from around the area came together at the Burlington High School and held a week-long ALERT training session for recruits, teaching them how to handle different threat situations with the necessary tactics to be used in a life-threatening situation. They asked not to be filmed, but I spoke with Lieutenant Dan Hannafin of the Burlington Police Department to find out more on the subject matter and the things that were being taught.
ALERT stands for an Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training, and it's designed as an active shooter, but even more than that, an active threat response training. And we're here with a number of agencies from local jurisdictions as well as state and federal agencies. It's teaching everything from tactics to overall strategy to how to deal with whatever threat would come up. Unfortunately, all across the country, we're seeing these days that there are more and more of these threat situations, and it's unfortunate we have to train for it, but it's something that we absolutely have to do. We do have to train and prepare ourselves for whatever situation could arise.
Lieutenant Hannafin also said that training in a public school provides plenty of space to utilize and a more real-life scenario compared to a training range.
It's fantastic to have this space to train in. It's not our norm. We would normally be training at a range or within the police department confines or something like that. But when we have a space like this, we can utilize a number of different areas, whether it's the cafeteria, whether it's different classroom space or hallway space, as well as different office space that might be in this environment. So it gives us a wide range of locales to train in.
And finally, it's important that each agency is on the same track, handling any serious situation that might occur at any point in time.
Specifically, we have the Burlington Police Department, our neighboring communities of Lexington and Bedford, and other surrounding communities as well. We have a lot of NEMLEC agencies, Northeast Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council agencies, as well as some state and federal agencies that are here. The great benefit of having not only the Burlington Police Department here represented, but also a lot of our surrounding agencies, is that we're able to all get on the same page. If we train in the same tactics and train in the same sort of strategies, we're able to handle whatever comes up, and as an instructor level course, which this is, we're able to take it and filter it down to all of our officers within each of our departments, and that allows us to kind of all get on the same page so that regionally we can have some similar training.
From the Burlington High School, I'm John Villas for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, John. A store in the Burlington Mall will soon close its doors. Brookstone reported on Thursday that it has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and announced that it will close its remaining 101 mall stores. The business plans to keep its 35 airport stores and its website open. The business, known for its interesting gadgets, drones, travel luggage, and massage chairs, first opened in 1973 in Peterborough, New Hampshire. In 2014, the company first filed for bankruptcy, and in June of that year, the business was purchased by the Chinese investment First Sailing Capital and the conglomerate Sandpower for over $173 million. With the sale, the company was able to emerge from bankruptcy the following month. CNN Money reported on Thursday that Brookstone secured a $30 million loan to finance operations while it looks for a new seller. In the bankruptcy filing, the company said it has liabilities totaling up to $500 million and assets only worth between $50 and $100 million. CNN Money also reported that while the company's airport locations and website are profitable, it has suffered in malls. The store has locations in malls that have seen a decline in traffic in the last few years. In higher-end malls, it has been faced with high rent. The Burlington Mall recently saw the closing of Besito's Mexican restaurant, and earlier this year, Uno's also closed its doors. Sears also closed in April, though Simon Properties, owner of the Burlington Mall, has recently gained planning board approval to make significant renovations to both the first floor of the former Sears location and the former Sears Automotive Center. Well, a business that's been in Burlington since 2016 has announced it will undergo a round of layoffs this fall and winter. The Boston Business Journal reported that Boston Scientific Corporation announced that it will cut 85 employees in filings with the state. The business, with locations around the world, is one of Massachusetts' largest medical device companies. Boston Scientific first moved into Burlington in July of 2016 when it acquired Cosman Medical, Inc. at 15 District Drive. According to the report, the layoffs will happen between September and December. Well, the Burlington Police and Fire Departments held their annual safety night at Wegmans on 3rd Avenue on Wednesday night. BNews Director Rich Hosford and BNews reporter Robert Parrish were there and have this look.
The parking garage at Wegmans and the side lot next to King's Bowl on 3rd Ave were full of police, fire, and other emergency equipment, personnel, and vehicles on Wednesday night for the 2018 Safety Night. Burlington residents, many of them children sporting police hats or fire helmets, came to meet with first responders and for the opportunity to get a close look at the vehicles. There was also free food provided by Wegmans, a dunk tank, and much more to see. BNews reporter Robert Parrish and I went to check it out and started by getting a lowdown of all the things to see and do.
Well, we've got police units from police agencies, police trucks, motorcycles, bicycles, cruisers, tactical equipment, command centers. We have ambulances, fire trucks, fire rehab units. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we have our friends Scout and Amadeus from the state police right behind me, and that's Scout and Amadeus are the horses, and their handlers, Trooper McCann and Trooper Hannafin. So it's just a mixture of police, fire, EMS, first responders. We have the Army here, we have the Red Cross, and then we have a few social service agencies, the Council on Aging, we have our PARI program here as well, just to let people know of some of the resources they may not be aware of.
Safety Night is an event with a mission. That mission is to give residents, both young and old, a chance to meet with members of the police, fire, and EMS services in a fun and casual atmosphere rather than during an emergency.
Well, when people need the police, fire, or EMS, it's usually a crisis situation. So we have our game face on, and we're dealing with the situation at hand. Usually it's an unpleasant situation. So this gives us that one day out of the year that the public gets to meet us in a relaxed setting. It's not a crisis situation. We're not trying to solve a problem at the moment. We're out here just mixing with the public as regular people.
So this is a great opportunity for the public to see public safety in a different light. Usually when you think of public safety, when you think of the police department, the fire department, EMS, you think of stressful situations, you think of something bad. Usually when someone needs us, it's sometimes the worst day that they've had in a long time. And people, so this is an opportunity for people to see us in a different light and kind of see us in a non-emergency situation and kind of see what we're all about. We let people touch things and flip switches and climb in the back of the ambulance on the fire truck. So it's kind of a good way for us to meet the public and for the public to meet us in a different light.
The event is also a chance for the public to learn more about what happens at the police station and fire department.
This is a great opportunity. I think this is our third year doing this with Wegmans and, obviously the police department and fire department. It's just a great opportunity for the public to come out and see what we do, see the equipment that we have, interact with the police officers and the firefighters, and just get an opportunity to talk to us and ask questions.
And with the predicted rain holding out, the turnout was large.
Oh, I thought the turnout was great. It was very crowded this year. The weather was much better than last year. Yeah. But it was a great turnout. We had a lot of people show up.
The event isn't only fun for the residents and their kids, it's also a favorite for the men and women in uniform.
They love it. This is one of the highlights. I even have retired officers here helping out. This is a real highlight to them. Who doesn't like to see little kids having a good time and interacting? So it's just a great night.
From Safety Night at Wegmans, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
It's always a great event. Well, a local family is asking for the public's help in supporting their push to try and find a cure for a rare disease that's afflicting their beloved son. Liam Hugo Ryan was a delightful, energetic 4-year-old until earlier this year. Suddenly, he could no longer climb stairs or hold his head up. Even his voice faded. His parents took him to one physician after another, trying to explain to them his rapid deterioration. After 2 months of this frantic search, Liz Dang Ryan and Luke Ryan learned in March that their son has juvenile dermatomyositis, JDM, also referred to as juvenile myositis, JM, which is an autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system attacks healthy cells. It affects about 1 in 500,000 children in the U.S. with severe muscle weakness and a skin rash. JDM has no cure, and given its rarity, has attracted little funding to find one. Children with mild cases may enter remission, but more serious cases can lead to a total loss of mobility, severe pain, and death. Liam has a relatively mild case, and doctors are hoping that 3 to 5 years of treatment will lead to remission. He is now able to swim, but must avoid any sun, something that it's not easy for a kid. The family is now working to raise support to find a cure. On Sunday, August 19th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., they will be holding the first annual To Cure JM event at King's Bowling on 3rd Avenue in Burlington. In addition to bowling, there'll be video games, face painting, pizza, and soft drinks. All proceeds benefit the Cure JM Foundation. To register for the event and to find out more information, visit their website at www.bowl@curejm. The Burlington Parks and Rec Department held their annual Celebrate Burlington event on the town common. The day was filled with fun activities, food vendors, and live performances. BNews reporter Robert Paris was there with BCAT volunteer Maddie Shipka, and they have this report.
The Burlington Town Common was filled with children and their families enjoying a day at one of the most beloved events of the summer. This week, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department held their annual Celebrate Burlington event. BCAT volunteer Maddie Shipka and I were down at the Common to check out the festivities.
We have some good food vendors in Cupcake City, Alex Ice Cream, Seasons 52, and they're new this year. Season 52 is new this year. CrossFit, I believe, is new this year. Tough Mudders is new this year. Burlington Pop Warner is new this year. So we have a really good group. Kelly Lehman, our program coordinator, works so hard on this. And as I mentioned earlier on the mic, she doesn't just start a couple weeks out, or this is hours and hours and hours of hard work. She starts in January and just keeps moving us forward. So
fall is right around the corner, and so are the preparations for People Helping People's Pumpkin Patch.
Well, we're trying to get information out to the community about our services, and we're also promoting the Pumpkin Patch, which takes place right on the pantry grounds at St. Mark's Church, which runs the whole month of October, and 100% of the proceeds goes toward the pantry.
One thing everyone was talking about was the fantastic weather conditions.
Oh, the weather's awesome today. Last year it rained, put a big damping the whole spirit. So today, with being so warm, it's awesome.
We've been watching the weather all week, and it's the last thing we want to answer questions on all day long is, what are you going to do if it rains on Saturday? What are you going to do? But we're on top of it. Kelly and I and Jesse look at the weather. We look at you know, how it's going to affect the vendors and the sponsors. And last year we thought we could sneak it in around some rain that was in the forecast. And this year, looking at it, we just didn't want to chance it 2 years in a row.
Driving around the town common was Al Fay in his famous fire truck. I also got a chance to find out when a truckrific event will be.
Well, again, this I don't know how many years, but it's got to be 25 or more, whatever. We do it every year, and we have some great events that we've done. We would have done it yesterday, only with the weather. Brendan made the perfect call as he could have, because we wouldn't have too much of a crowd here, you know. So every year we do it. Truck Day is the 16th of September on the common here. A little noisy with the air. Well, you know, you've been here many, many times, but it is the 16th of September, and we look forward to a nice day in the weather. Hopefully not quite this hot, but I think we might like out then, you know.
The Burlington Parks and Recreation Department wouldn't have this event without their volunteers, vendors, and the community.
I hope they take a day full of excitement and fun, but also, you know, a healthy respect and appreciation of what their Parks and Recreation Department does for them.
From the town common, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, Robert. What a great day. Wow. Well, the Massachusetts state primary is set for Tuesday, September 4th, and anyone who wants to vote but can't make it to the polls can pick up an absentee ballot. The Burlington Town Clerk's office has absentee ballots for those who will be out of town, can't get to the polls due to a physical disability, or have a religious commitment on Election Day. Absentee ballots are available in the clerk's office and will be mailed to those who have applied. Voters may apply and vote in the office. The deadline to apply is 5 p.m. on Friday, August 31st. Voters may apply and vote in person at the town clerk's office or through the mail. If the ballot is to be mailed, apply far enough in advance so that the ballot can be mailed and returned by the close of the poll. Hospitalized voters must have been admitted afternoon of the 5th day before the election. They must apply themselves and designate in writing who may hand carry the ballot to them. Applications can be made anytime, however. The ballot must be returned by the close of the poll. The mailing address for the office is Office of the Town Clerk, Town of Burlington, 29 Center Street, Burlington, Mass. 01803. Its office hours are listed on the town website. The state primary polls will be at Burlington High School, and voting will run from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Anyone who will be 18 years of age or older on the date of the primary can vote in the primary. The deadline to register to vote is August 15th. Well, there were more than just books at the Burlington Public Library last week, as local apiculturists brought in a couple of their beehives for an educational program on beekeeping. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty was there to see what all the buzz was about and has this report.
The Burlington Library was buzzing with activity on August 2nd, as children learned the ins and outs of beekeeping with the Card family of Merrimack Valley apiaries.
We're a third-generation bee farm in Billerica, Massachusetts. I started by my grandfather in 1958 and a friend of his, Carl Cheney, and they both got together and started with pollination service and a little bit of honey production, but their main business was to bring bees around and pollinate different crops like apples and blueberries around the Northeast. It kind of changes with the seasons. In the springtime, most of the emphasis is on pollination, and as the season progresses, we move towards honey production later in the season, and kind of let the bees go out to just the fields and collect the nectar and get ready for winter.
For anyone interested in becoming a beekeeper themselves, Glenn has this advice.
If you want to take that step and get some bees, or thinking about getting a beehive, you want to go and join a club. There's a lot of experience there, a lot of people willing to be mentors and take a lot of new people under their wing, so to speak, and give them some help, because there's a lot of little things that you won't understand at first. It's a lot of money kind of to get your first hive and get started. And if you have a little bit of help and experience and other people to talk to and ask questions, it really helps. And Massachusetts has a lot of active bee clubs. Each county has its own club, and then there's also some other smaller clubs, but every county is very active in beekeeping.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNEWS Weekly. Get it? Get it?
Very good, Chris. The Burlington Police Department and the group Burlington Overcoming Addiction are offering a free training class that could give you the tools needed to save a life. They will be hosting a NARCAN training on Wednesday, August 15th at 7 p.m. at St. Mark's Episcopal Church. During the training, you can learn about naloxone, the life-saving opioid reversal drug, and how to properly administer NARCAN to save a life. NARCAN is an opioid antagonist that can reverse the effects of a potentially fatal overdose by displacing the drug from the receptors in the brain. NARCAN is available at pharmacies across the state through a standing order and can be delivered directly to your home. This free nasal naloxone and harm reduction training for the public will be facilitated by Deidre Calvert, a medical coordinator at Column Health in Arlington and Somerville. The training is open to anyone, including non-Burlington residents. This is the second year the training has been offered. Last year, approximately 20 people took the course, and 2 of those ended up using what they learned to reverse overdoses and likely saved a couple of lives. Well, it's been a hot and humid couple of weeks. To see if this trend will continue, we'll go now to Maddie Shipka, who's sitting in for Peter Brown for this week's BNEWS Weather Report. And Maddie will also let us know what's going on in Burlington with this week's community calendar.
Hello, I'm Maddie Shipka, filling in for BNews weatherman Peter Brown, who's out this week. We start our weather report with the almanac. According to the numbers, we're going to have average temperatures with a high in the low 80s. Historically, there have been high temperatures of 95 degrees in 1970. However, the historic low for this day is 46 degrees in 1989. It must have been a chilly day for those beachgoers. One final note on the almanac is that the days are getting shorter and shorter. As everyone knows, we're getting closer to fall, which eventually leads to daylight savings time. Now let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. I do have to say, it seems like an average week with temperatures in the low to mid 80s throughout. Starting off the weekend, Friday will have partly cloudy skies with temps in the high 80s. There will be a chance of rain on Saturday and Sunday with temperatures in the low 80s. Monday, another partly cloudy day with temperatures in the mid 80s. Tuesday, cloudy skies with a chance of rain and temperatures in the low 80s again. By Wednesday, the rain will end, and we'll have another partly cloudy day with temperatures in the mid-80s. That's all for your weekly forecast. I'm Maddie Shipka saying, as Peter Brown always does, get out and enjoy the weather. I'm Maddie Shipka, and this is your community calendar. Please, on Friday, August 17th, BCAT will be having their annual cinema series hosted by production coordinator Chris Flaherty. This month's movie will be Who Framed Roger Rabbit, starring Bob Hoskins and Christopher Lloyd. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. The discussion begins at 6:45 p.m. and the movie begins at 7. Everyone is welcome. The event is free, but pre-registration is required. To register, call 781-273-5922 or email bcat@bcattv.org. Come and enjoy a delicious clam bake on a beautiful island off the coast of Maine. On Saturday, August 18th, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having a day trip to the Cabbage Island. There will also be a chance to browse the Booth Bay Harbor stores. Everyone is welcome. Pre-registration is required. The event is $143 per person. To register, visit burlingtonrecreation.org or call 781-270-1695. Grab your cowboy hat, boots, and your dance partner and mosey on down to King's. On Saturday, August 18th at 8 p.m., King's Bowl on 3rd Ave will be having their annual country night. Come down to King's and enjoy a night of dancing, bull riding, and much more. The event is 21+. Pre-registration is required. To register, visit kings-de.com or call 781-238-4400. I'm Maddie Shipka, and this has been your Community Calendar.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week we have a shot of a beautiful winged creature taking a quick break at Mary Cummings Park. It was set in by Todd Dugan and shows a monarch butterfly sitting on some thistle in a field at the park. The monarch butterfly is a milkweed butterfly that is considered an iconic pollinator species. The eastern North American population is notable for its annual southward migration from the northern United States and Canada all the way down to Florida and Mexico. That's a long journey for those delicate wings. Thanks for the photo, Todd. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of something you see around town, the weather outside your door, or even photos of your family members and pets. Whatever you think is interesting and would like to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Well, that's it for the news. A lot of reporters to thank. Rich Hosford, our news director, of course, Maddie Shipka, Chris Flaherty, Robert Paris, and John Vias. And thank you very much for watching this week's BNEWS Weekly. Have a good weekend.